Welcome to Only One You Need Radio. We're not the only one you need. You are. We just show you how to get out of your own way. With your host, speaker, author, business coach, and consultant, David Dubé.
Welcome to Only One You Need Radio. It's your host, David Dubé. So excited to have you here with me today. In this episode, my friend, you and I are going to be talking about the things that people focus on that create the difference between those who are the haves and those who are the have-nots, those who are the ultra wealthy and those who aren't wealthy, those who are really going somewhere and those who aren't really going anywhere, those who are stuck and constantly fighting for everything that they have. You know, an earlier episode I talked about Maslow's theory of hierarchy, and I definitely urge you to go back and listen to the other podcasts in order to get context here. But this year, the differences between those who have and those who have not isn't about a lot of what we think it's about. And that's really the key difference, and that's what we're going to talk about here today in this episode. So let's get to it, shall we? Let's talk about the things that most people focus on and is a reason why they're constantly spinning their wheels. One of those things, well, let's start off with the news. You turn on the news, what is the number one thing they talk about? They probably talk about fear-mongering as far as it goes with, you know, all the terror activities that are going around in the world, because if you haven't noticed, all your neighbors are evil people. You shouldn't talk to a single one of those people because guess what? They're probably out to get you. And you and I both know that if you've opened your door and you've talked to your neighbors, they're probably pretty nice people, and that 99.99999% of the population is really nice, and they don't want to fight. They don't want to hurt someone. They really don't want any negativity whatsoever. But if you watch the news, everyone's out to fucking get you. So watch your ass, watch your back. So that's the number one thing they do. The number two thing they do is guess what? Along with all the fear-mongering that's going on, is that your money, you have none, and no one else has any either. And the other part too is they did this huge thing in California recently. I don't know if anyone paid attention to this, where the flu outbreak was so bad this past winter, so bad that they had to set up tents outside of hospitals and clinics in order to help the people. And then I saw a video. And I know it's out there, so you can go double check and check this out yourself, of a group that sent cameras to each and every single one of these clinics in their local area. And sure enough, they had tents, but when they went into the tents, there was no one in those tents. As if to say, why are they doing this? Why are they making this a bigger deal than it really is? It's so crazy to me how much they talk about this thing called fake news, and the real news is more fake than people who are actually doing real investigative work and proving how much bullshit is coming out of their mouths all over the place. I mean, we send our kids to college to learn from people who learned to teach. So they went to college to learn to teach someone what they learned. They didn't have practical knowledge, meaning they didn't have to go out and do anything and achieve anything to teach what they did to achieve it. Does that make sense? They don't have real world experience. All they have is educational experience, and they're teaching educational stuff. So they're propagating stuff that they never actually proven themselves. Like if you are in business, if you work a business, you want to learn from someone who's done that business and has gotten real world results. Because when you learn from that person, what happens? You typically get those same results. So it's crazy that we send kids to colleges to learn from people who only learned from the education system to teach it and not real world experience. And then they come out, and then now you go anywhere. You go to a restaurant, you go out to your favorite coffee shop. Who's serving you? That college student who still doesn't know what the heck to do with their degree. And it's like 87% of college students, somewhere around that number, like aren't in the field that they went to school for. It's insanity that they have 80 grand in debt and they're doing this. So here's the main focus that everyone has. It's all resource based. You're supposed to be afraid that we're going to run out of resources. Why do you think they're propagating going to, let's go to Mars as soon as possible? Why? Because our resources are running out here in the world and we're destroying our planet. Now, I won't disagree. We are destroying our planet and that needs to change. But when you focus on those things, when you focus on lack and limit, what do you get? You get lack and limit. So the 6 things that most people focus on is time, money, technology, context, support, and experience. These are the things that we focus on the most. And this is what the news and the media and all these people want you to believe there's very little of. And that if you don't have it yourself, you won't be successful. But then you look at those who are successful in our world, and you look what they did. All they did is leverage other people to get those results. A great example of this is someone named Bill Gates. What did Bill Gates do? Bill Gates, he didn't create MS-DOS or DOS. He didn't create it. He went out and got a contract from IBM that said we need an operating system. And then he went and bought that operating system with the money he got from IBM from another company and then created Microsoft. And now we had Microsoft MS-DOS, Microsoft MS, right? DOS. And that was the operating system that was created all based on what? He had nothing to do with either of them. He just was resourceful enough to figure it out. You see, he probably didn't have the time to build it. He didn't have the experience to build it. He didn't know how to do it himself. He also didn't have the money himself to do it. But guess what he did? He had the resourcefulness enough, the creativity enough, the curiosity enough, the resolve to get it all done. To say, you know what? I see an opportunity here. I'm going to take the money from IBM and I'm going to spend a portion of it to buy a program that someone else wrote and sell it as something I did. So those who are really successful, they don't focus on the resources like everyone else does. And if the media and everyone else can get you so scared that that's all you have to work with, then you're never going to get ahead. And they know it. And they're doing that. So you don't think of things differently. You think of it the same way all the time. I remember I watched a story several years ago, and I think I mentioned this before in an earlier episode, where this guy was a miner, a coal miner, and for 3 years, he and his wife, whatever, he would wake up at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m, get ready, and drive out to all the local coal mines and ask if they had work for him. For 3 years, every single day, Monday through Friday, this is what he did, and got told no every single day, every single time he did it. Like, after 3 years, don't you think you would figure it out? Like, maybe I should do something else? And I mean, and they were interviewing him and he's like, yeah, this is all I know. It's not all you know. It's all you care to know. And it's all society has told you that you are good at. And so that you better not do anything else because this is all you're capable of doing. Are you kidding me? Talk about tiny mindset thinking. Talk about living in a box. It's disgusting to me. Like, for several reasons. If there's no job for you, why would you continually go out and do the same thing over and over again? Guess what? It's called the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And yet they were interviewing him as if this is what everyone's doing. Really? Everyone's doing that? You've been sucked into what? Let me ask you, does that make any sense whatsoever? Yes or no? Am I the only one here thinking that it doesn't make any sense? It doesn't. For me, if you can't think for yourself, if you can't figure it out, then you obviously don't deserve anything better. If you can't figure out that if this doesn't work for me, I better figure something else out, then you literally deserve to die on the vine because you can't figure it out yourself. I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't what? You can't make it drink. And for me, it's like if we focus just on our resources, we won't have. So what do you have to do? Right? I said you have to be resourceful. Well, so in being resourceful, what can you do? I don't have the time for it. I don't have the money for it. I don't have the technology, the context, the sport, or experience. Well, then ask a question. Ask a different question. If you don't have it, who does? Who do I know who has the time? Who do I know who has the money? Who do I know who has got the technology? Who do I know who has the contacts, the support, and the experience? Who do I know that has those things that I can leverage to get what I want? That's what this is about. And to me, this isn't rocket science. In fact, success is actually way easier than we think about it, most of us. Why? Because we've been focused on what we have. I'm so guilty of this. I focus on what I have. Up until recently, I didn't have a VA. But now I have a virtual assistant. Why do I have a virtual assistant? Because I don't have all the time to do all the things that I need to get done. Guess what? I doubled my efforts and it was not a lot of money. It's incredible what that does for you. It frees you up to focus on what's truly important. Because guess what? If I, my resources, if I only have this much XYZ time to make money during the day, and then at night I have to do all the other things to, ancillary things that help me make money, that support me in making money, I'm working, 16-hour days then. But now I can have someone working on those ancillary things that help me and support me in making money, that I can focus mostly on the things and the tasks that make me money. It multiplies your income. Now, we don't think about this when we're on our own. And it takes a while to get to that. The other part, too, is the training of the individual. That takes time as well. But once they're trained, guess what? You're in a much different place. And things can happen much more rapidly. And money can flow much more easily. You don't have to be a rocket science to be successful. All you have to do is ask different questions of the resources you currently have, and you'll start to get different results based upon those things. That's it. It's not rocket science. So let's focus not on the resources that we currently have, but who do we know who's got the resources that we could leverage to get the results that we desire in our lives. Doesn't that make more sense? To me, this is a no-brainer. And I hope you see it the same way. So, with that being said, if this episode was helpful, if this episode was useful for you, if you got something out of this, then do other people a favor, share this out. I know that this is probably a little bit more of an emotionally charged episode than you've heard before, but for good reason. If this doesn't get to you, or if this does get to you, you're mad, you're angry, you're upset, well, good. You should be. We need to look at things differently. All I'm saying is don't trust the narrative that's being sold to you every single day. If you believe in it, fine. Then don't listen to this, because I'm not about that. I'm about figuring out and being real about what's going on and asking real questions and getting real answers about it. If you don't like that, then so be it. I really don't care. But if you are a free thinker, if you don't like being told what to do and you like to know how to figure it out, at least get some help doing it, then pay attention, then listen, and you will start to get more and more out of life. I'm Dave Dubé with Only When You Need Radio. It's time that you be the person you're meant to be. Believe in all that you're capable of and become more than you thought imaginable. I look forward to catching you on the next episode. Take care.